What's going on, Soul Tribe? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to my channel, Alchemist. Justin here, and bringing another nugget down to the Soul Tribe archive. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Jupiter in Capricorn in the second house. And this was a tricky one for Jupiter to be in. Now, when you talk about Big Papa, the nature of Jupiter is yes abundance. Jupiter is the greater benefic, but Jupiter is about expansion, about expanding one's worldview, and about growth. About There's a spiritual component that comes with Jupiter, deals with your faith. There's wisdom that comes with Jupiter, and there's an optimism I find that Big Papa brings to this appreciation that life has so much to offer, and there's always something new to learn, something new to experience, something new to feel. With Jupiter, there's some bigger questions in life to ask, and Jupiter can make things just larger than life. So yeah, really important, especially if you have a day chart. Jupiter is the benefic to go to, so that's something to keep in mind there. And then you talk about Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and they are the cardinal earth sign. They're receptive or yin in nature. And I'm just talking about Capricorn in general here, being that they are ruled by Saturn, who, yes, is about discipline and restrictions and things, but Saturn's also about form and gives things structure. And that's what Capricorn is. When you think about just the body, that's a Capricorn type of thing. That matter coming into being, the ability to create the, earthly type of things, to manifest in this realm here, to really work with that, to create things of long lasting legacies, with Capricorn. Capricorn has the ability to achieve something of, again, but it requires a lot of work. Saturn, with the bigger the dream, of course, the more work that you get into it, but when you get to the end of this thing, it's just like there's a sense of, yeah, accomplishment, I think, with Capricorn, that can be just so fulfilling, when you're working with that energy. Very incredible when you think about Capricorn, the vision that they can manifest. And then you talk about the second house. This in traditional astrology was known as the gate of Hades. An interesting name for the house. But some of the themes that this house is going to cover, this is your money house. This deals with like your livelihood. This can deal with any of your possessions. This could deal with like wealth and poverty, your earnings, your savings, your spending habits, expectations of prosperity. This can deal with just like any sort of like resources to maintain your matter of living. These are going to be some of the themes that the second house covers. So when you're combining all of this, some things to think about. One, you'd have a Sag rising by whole sign, and you're going to want to look to Saturn, because Saturn's going to be responsible for this house and for your third house, which is the house of like your friends, your relatives, family, immediate environment, your neighborhood, short travel, things along the way, your everyday commute and things like that. And Jupiter is going to be responsible for your first house, your body, the ascendant, the things, the beginning of all actions, things like that, and of your home space, which is your fourth house, which is like your parents, again, your parents, your foundation, ancestors, things along those lines. So a couple of things, of course, to talk about with this is let's talk about money. Because this is a tough place for Jupiter to be, because this is where Jupiter experiences its fall. And when a planet is in fall, it's not that the planet is useless, but it's more so that the lower expressions of Jupiter can come out here. So maybe there might be a lack of faith. Maybe, maybe that the finances didn't come through. Because again, there's a lot of family aspect that's associated with this placement here. And again, wherever Saturn's at. So maybe there was a relation, maybe a relationship coming on, maybe you didn't come from a whole bunch. Maybe there was poverty that was a part of the story. And it's just like, how do you build upon that foundation? Jupiter's responsible for, again, the beginning of all actions and of your foundation, what you feel you want to be, and then how do you bring that to life? And so if you do have some a tough relationship around money, for example, this could be where you may need to look into like a financial advisor or talking with someone who can help you get the know-how to get more savvy with it. I think too that the thing with this placement is that Jupiter is very generous, and this could be where maybe you tend to give out a lot of maybe send out a lot of money to family. Maybe you happen to, they're just borrowing from you because then that's the thing with wealth. If you have a lot, then you can give a lot, but maybe how much do you give? I think with Jupiter involved there. And that's not even just of your money, thinking about your resources, that your time, your energy, and how much of that you're giving. And this could be with your friends, and pay attention to that, pay attention to how you go about your day to day and where's your money going. Just having that sort of awareness, keeping receipts, keeping things maybe doc. It's a little tedious, but it'll help you to have that relationship to where you're seeing how the money's flowing. Because one thing I could see with this placement is that hoarding can maybe become a mix there, where you're just like keeping it all. And money and any sort of thing is not meant to just sit. It's useless sitting. The money's got to flow. So this could be, again, looking into some sort of like stockbroker, and I'd be even just like as far as like stuff. Make it a regular habit, and that maybe happen when you have like Saturn transits and things. Make it a regular habit to clear out some stuff. Maybe you exchange amongst family members. It's like, hey, I got this. I'm not using this couch anymore. It's a pretty decent couch. Do you need this? Like talking about or doing something with like the neighborhood, kind of talking around, like kind of doing like a yard sale or something where you just regularly clean out the space so that new energy can come in and fill that up. Like make that work with either like the Jupiter transits or work with Saturn transits. That could be very helpful for you to keep track of these things there. I would even too with Capricorn, because the thing with, I think, Jupiter and Capricorn, learn how to grow some of your own stuff. Like maybe if you happen to use basil a lot, grow some basil. I think of course, investing in land, having some sort of property, I think would be super beneficial. So at least that if things are tough, you at least have a home. And even too, at least so you have food. Like just like figuring out different ways of, maybe filtering your own water. I think these are really great Capricorn things that are, that are going to invest. It may seem like a lot of work in the short term, but in the long term is going to keep you self-sustaining. And that's where Jupiter he may be in his fall here, but when you learn how to work with that, Jupiter will give. And Jupiter will pay and pay and pay because you're putting in the work, because you figured out you've been following Saturn, been doing the whole thing. So there's been a lot of stuff. And then your family, your friends, all the people will benefit from that. They will be, and maybe even be motivated, that you could even sell this as a course, possibly, who knows what that might look like. But I think that this could be with maybe some challenges at first, but could be one that could potentially be could create that sort of ancestral, generational type of wealth. That's just, and a Jupiter transit is a great way for, especially getting to like your Jupiter returns, a great way for tracking how your progress is going in this house and how you can build on that. Pay attention to one last thing, pay attention to, and I think that's really gets to as far as like really kind of helps to promote the growing your own things. Pay attention to the food that you put into the body, the things that you, because Jupiter rules this. So pay attention to, just like the stuff that you're eating, because I think that Capricorn and Jupiter, that energy could store a lot. The energy is very receptive. And so just be mindful of overeating and things along those lines, and the type of food that's going through the body that's fueling these things so that you can get the stuff done, because if the body isn't healthy, you can't do anything. So that's just another thing I think to think about with this placement. But I'm just talking about this stuff in general. You definitely need the whole chart to get a better idea of what you're working with this. But I would love to hear if you have this placement or know somebody who's working with this placement, how this is manifested for you. And what tips and tricks do you have? Maybe you've learned ways to accumulate more resources so that you can put it to other things. Invest in yourself. If I didn't say that, invest in yourself. My goodness, we should all do that, but especially this placement. Invest in yourself and really build on that foundation, whatever you want to do, because where there's a will, there's a way, especially with Jupiter. You will find it. That's for sure. But if you want to work with this placement more personally, kind of get a better idea of what this transit means, this placement or other placements mean. It's like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Maybe I could get some more about improve my life and getting more in touch with the cycles and things. Down in the description box is a link to get in touch with me, and email me, and we can talk about my services and go from there. And if you want to just follow the transits just in general, I can release videos weekly on this channel, Celestial News Weekly, and it just talks about what signs the planets are in, when they're going retrograde, what aspects they're forming, and how to work with those energies. What are just some themes to keep in mind of when you're working with those placements. And then if you want to work with the moon, there is a link for my other channel, The Cherry Friends, where I release videos every time the moon changes signs. I talk about what phase she's in when she's going void of course, and then do a tarot card reading and an I Ching reading in there as well. So all types of spirituality for you. But that's all I got for you. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep raising that vibration through the roof. And I will catch you on the next one. Later.